So I'm doing some Manson impressions, and uh, it's really just my way of expressing what I feel in Charlie's voice in those interviews that are out there of him that don't have any video. Um, his voice is incredibly powerful. He speaks in parables and riddles and metaphors and allegories, and you know he he's got an incredibly high IQ. He's articulate. He's well spoken, and that kind of caught my eye. I mean, people don't just come out of prison talking like Gandhi, and I'm just trying to figure out what the hell happened in this situation. The guy was locked up since he was 9 years old, basically, and had to endure every torture that this society has to slam on people. Whether it's beatings, whipped until he couldn't walk for months, gang raped, um, burned, uh, locked and thrown into the hole for months, years at a time. Um, I mean, they did everything they could to destroy this kid, and he gets out in '67, and he had to develop a philosophy to survive. And he was a little guy, he couldn't defend himself in prison. He had to develop a philosophy that would get people to think twice before they messed with him. And so, and to do that, he had to be honest with himself. He couldn't live a lie in solitary confinement. He couldn't get beat every day if he was living a lie. If he wasn't being honest with himself, he couldn't survive that. It would have broken him. It would break anybody. So he gets out, and our kids, you know, come to him and beg him to do something about the Vietnam War. Because their brothers were getting sent over to die for nothing. 56,000 Americans dead, millions more after we left, because we were holding up the South Vietnamese, and as soon as we left, the North Vietnamese wiped them out. Pol Pot destroyed millions of people, and nobody paid the price for it. We just come back. Charlie gets out. The kids come to him, and these weren't just kids. These were star athletes. These were college graduates. These were homecoming queens. They were good kids, but they were frustrated. They were upper class kids who had it made, basically, but they had to be honest with themselves to survive, and that means they had to leave their homes, because their homes represented the people that were sending their brothers to die, and they also represented the corporations that were destroying the earth at that time. Uh, Forests were being clear cut. The water was getting so polluted you couldn't even swim in some of the Great Lakes, the rivers, the streams. The corporations were dumping their sewage and chemicals um, in the water. Uh, Politicians were getting assassinated. President Kennedy was murdered. Robert Kennedy was murdered. Malcolm X was murdered. Martin Luther King was murdered. There was race wars. I mean, it was as chaotic as the United States has ever seen. And so these kids come up to Charlie and say, "Hey, man, you seem to have a lot of answers. Is there anything we can do to stop this Vietnam War, to stop this madness? Is there anything we can do to stop this pollution that they're destroying the planet with?" And, you know, when things are so bad that the kids leave their safety of their homes to hang out with a convict because they're so desperate for answers, uh, you can't just throw the convict away, throw the kids away, and sweep it under the rug and expect that things are going to get better. They're not going to get better. Look how we've gone since 50 years later. Politicians got us now. They got us in an 18-year war with millions more dead. Um, the planet is still being destroyed, and nobody's doing anything about it. Nobody's holding these people accountable. They just they lie to get our vote, and then they pay back their donors with favors. Whether it's allowing corporations to move out of the United States and have cheap labor in other countries, or whether it's bringing H-1 visa people over here to undercut our our people that have gone to college and got good engineering jobs or computer programmers or whatever it is. They don't want to pay us, so they pay the politician. Say, hey man, just tell people that you're going to do what you tell them what they want to hear, and then once you're elected, you're going to pay me back. So the the rot is still in the system. The rot has never been worse. Um, Half the country thinks the other half is crazy, and that other half thinks the other half are snowflakes or racists or whatever, because they're playing on us. They got to keep us divided so they can make their money. All the executives in the media are loaded. All the politicians are rich. The ones that are keeping us divided and keeping us down have the best lives in the world. And, same thing was going on in 69, except they ran into the wrong guy, and it's like Charlie said. He's like, if you're not keeping an eye on that last kid at the end of the bus, that's that's his nose is running and he shit his pants and everybody's laughing at him, and we're only as good as the last man on the chain. So what I'm trying to say is, um, if you just drop the blame on Charlie and the kids and throw him under the bus and bury him and you know uh, send him to prison forever until he's dead, you're not solving the problem. And I'm not saying don't punish people that do wrong, of course, but don't just punish one side of it and let the other people run rampant. We need to hold our politicians accountable. We can't just give them our vote, let them screw us, let them sell us out in every way they can, and continue to destroy the people on the earth. So when I ran into Manson, I he wasn't just some rumpkin from West Virginia. He had a IQ of 121. He was a brilliant guy, but he was a product of his environment, and I knew immediately that you know punishing him is not the only answer. You gotta balance that out. You gotta whatever caused the kids to run to him. You got to look at that. You can't just say, "Oh, uh, doesn't matter why anything happened. This guy killed somebody, so we bury him," and that's fine. But if you don't ever ask why things happen, and don't reflect and look back on your life and the lives of the people that are making decisions, nothing's going to change. So I'm just I'm trying to figure out a way to bring that message out, and I'm doing it using Charles. I'm because if we don't look at it and decide we need to hold both sides accountable, then we're finished, and we may be finished already. But we all we can do is try, and that's what I'm trying to do. It's not. I'm not trying to start a revolution. I'm not trying to do something crazy. I'm a law-abiding citizen. Always have been. But I see the rot in the world, and I see that all people want to do is dump blame on others. Republicans blame the Democrats. The Democrats blame Trump. The people blame the whores that are taking money. The donor. I call politicians donor whores because that's what they are. So the people still haven't figured out that voting isn't really going to do anything. We gotta we've got to hold these politicians accountable, or the things that happened with Manson are going to happen again. And in fact, they are. Maybe it's not some brilliant guy who was tortured his whole life. Maybe it's a kid in suburbia who both of his parents are working, and he just plays video games his entire childhood. He never gets out and goes out to play because it's not safe anymore, because so many people are going crazy because of our system. And so they shoot up the schools, or they shoot up the mall, or they do all kinds of crazy shit. Back then, you had 9 murders, and it was the biggest story, and it still is probably the biggest story in the archives of criminal history. But you fast forward to today, and with the mass shootings, the killings, you got hundreds, thousands of murders, and people just, now they don't even think about it. They're just, oh well, just another shooting. What are you going to do? That's life. And so I'm just saying, we gotta, you can't just drop the blame on Charlie or Trump or whoever, and not face the fact that you just you're just enabling a system that's destroying you by you know by voting for these liars. And so if I can do Manson impressions and maybe make people laugh a little bit to try to lighten up this story, in order to bring out the fact that we all we did by throwing Manson in prison. And I'm not saying he shouldn't have been. He was judged guilty, and yeah, he did his time and he died in prison. But we never considered what led up to that. What the hell was going on that would have allowed such massive killings of American kids, and such destruction of the planet on a level that had never been seen before. And we get busy, we're chasing our money, and I'm no different. I'm chasing money right now. I mean, I I'm the same way. But I know something's wrong, and I know that we're not going to survive the way we're going. So I just want to try to bring some balance to it. I want people to take a closer look at why things happen, not just what happened. Why did the whole Manson thing happen? Why are these mass murders happening? Why are kids killing each other? Why are kids killing their parents? Why are so many people dying of overdoses, fentanyl, and all this crap? Why are people so unhappy? Why are they all got to come home and get drunk and stoned every night, me included, just to deal with society? I mean, we got to learn to start doing what we want to do, and not what we're told to do and programmed to do. Um, we got to start doing what we enjoy. And this is like the first time I've ever found anything that I actually enjoy. I've been in the rat race for 40 years, and you know, just like a monkey on or a hamster on a wheel. Just doing what I got to do, make my money, and all that. And it's not leading to any happiness. It's not leading to it's uh it's like circling the drain, man. So anyway, I'm gonna continue my Manson impersonations, and my Charles Manson's Mind group, and just try to get people to open their eyes a little bit, and see if we can't uh, put some order into this machine that we're all caught in, so we can survive.